Okay. There, if we get some notifications out. Okay, turn on some light on the subject. Me, more or less, I guess. And let's see if we can solve this puzzle. Let me shrink this a little bit. That way, if somebody chats with me, I might possibly see that. All right, we are doing easy puzzle number 675 today. Easy does not necessarily mean it's going to be fast. It just means it's using techniques that should be easy to work out and do for pretty much everybody. Some of the more difficult puzzles are amenable to these techniques as well, but they are using some techniques that I'm not as familiar with, and sometimes I will pick up on what's going on, sometimes I won't. I usually get them solved anyway. Sometimes I have to take a lot more time at doing that solve than I like, but we do what we can. I'm not here trying to solve them in the fastest time possible. We're just getting them solved for you. All right, move that a little bit, see if that helps. Audio, and do a validation. If it validates, if it does, you've got 20 seconds to see about grabbing a screenshot of the puzzle and see if you can get started on it and see how you do. Having minor issues with the mouse disappearing as it goes into another system. And there we go. All right. That's much more than the amount of time I should have given you. Oh well. Get a 1 down here. One of these two is going to be a 1. One of these two will be a 1. This one's a 1. And that means one of these two is a 1. 2s. Got 3 possibilities there. 4 here. A2 here. Another 2 here. That drops us down to A2 here. And 2 possibilities here. Up here we get these 2 possibilities. And then I still have 3 possibilities here. 3s. Now this one's going to be a 3. One of these. 3 is going to be a 3. I've got 3 possibilities here. A 3 here, so we're down to 2 possibilities here now. 2 possibilities here. And I've got at least 6 possibilities here. All right, how about 4s? Nothing helping us with a 4 there. We've got 3 possibilities here, 3 here, 4 possibilities here. Everything's open here. 6 possibilities here and here. Oh well, on to 5s. We got a 5 here and 1 here. One of these 2 will be a 5. That gets to be a 5. One of these 2 get to be a 5. Here I've got 4 possibilities, 6 possibilities here. Although one of these 2 will be a 5. No, can't say that. I thought I was seeing one of these had to be, or one of these had to be a 5, but no, this is perfectly eligible. 3 possibilities here and 4 possibilities here. 6s. I got a 6 up there and here. Gives us 2 possibilities for a 6 here. 2 possibilities for a 6 here. One of these 2 is going to be a 6, meaning this is not, this is, and that means this is not, this is. And we end up with 4 possibilities here, 2 nope, we get a 6 here, and we're down to 2 possibilities here. All right, 7s. We've got a 7 here and here. And one of these 2 is a 7. One of this one is a 7. One of these 2 is going to be a 7. And then one of these 2 will be. Over here, that means one of these 2 is going to be a 7. And I got 3 possibilities here. Okay. What 8s? Well, one of these 2 is going to be an 8. As is one of these 2. That means one of these 2 will be an 8. And over here I've got 5 possibilities. So I've got 2 possibilities here. And 2 possibilities here. Still too many possibilities here and up here. All right. 9s. One of these 3 is going to be a 9. One of these 3 is going to be a 9. this one's going to be a 9. That means one of these 3 will be a 9. And one of these 2 will be a 9. That leaves up here 1, 2, 3. Like this is going to be a 4. Makes that a 4. Makes one of these 4 a 4. One of these 2 is going to be a 4. One of these 2 will be a 4 as well. And one of these 2. And down here we get these 2 that have possibilities being 4. Unfortunately, 4 possibilities here. Back to 9s. 3 possibilities there. Oh, no. 5 possibilities here. Here we've got 3 possibilities. We've got 3 possibilities there. 3 here. All right, look at guys, 6, 3 here. To say that one of these, neither of these could be a 4. It had to be one of these 2 for a 4. Anything else we can see here? Well, neither of these can be a 2. Neither of these can be a 2, so one of these 2 is also a 2. That means we've got 2 digits left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7 is going to be one of these 2. 9 is going to be that one, so that's a 7. That's not a 7, that is. All right. We had a 9 on the board that hadn't been there before. All right. At least there's a 6. 7, 8. So this is going to be the missing digit, which appears to be a 5. Means one of these 2 is going to be a 5. Let's see. Did we narrow this down to 1 now? Yes, we did. That was a single possibility for 1 there. That's not, that is. This one's not, that is. And I think that's it for 1s. So what do we got here? 1, 2, 3 is going to be one of these 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is going to be one of these 3. And 9 is going to be one of these 3. Not this. Okay. Anything else we can work through? This can't be a 2. That's going to be a 2, that's going to be 4, that's going to be an 8. So not a 4 here, that's going to be a 4, that'll be a 5, that'll be an 8. Okay, so ultimately that'll help. Let's see, 7, 8. That means one of these 2 is a 9. 9, 6. So we've got 3 digits left. 1, 2's. One of these 3 will be a 3. One of them will be a 4. So this becomes a 5. This becomes a 4. And these 2 are the 2 that can possibly be a 4 here. That verifies, doesn't stop anything else over here. Wow, this one's going to be a 5. So that's a 7. This is not a 7. That's a 7. That makes this an 8. This becomes a 3. And what do we have left here? It looks like a 5. That means we get a single digit option here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And a 9 going in here. That makes this a 9. This becomes an 8. This is a 9. One of these two is an 8 now. Looks like this is going to be locked into a 5, 8, and this will be a 3. So now we're down to these two possibly being a 3. So if this one can't be, so that's going to be a 6. This will be a 3. That means this is not a 3. That's a 3. I got a problem here. That can't be a 2. That's going to be a 4. That would be a 2. Which breaks 2's here. This can't be 7 or 8. So that's going to be a 2. Nope, that can't be a 2 either. 7 and 8 are the ones that are missing. So we've got some problems here. Well, let's see if we can tidy some of this up. So if that can't be an E7, that's going to be an 8. This will be a 7. This can't be this. One of these two gets to be an 8 now. We'll just mark those like that. 1, 2. One of these two is going to be a 3. This is a 2. That can't be, so that's a 2. That becomes a 4. That becomes a 4, not a 4. That therefore becomes a possible 3. I think we've got 2 possible 3s here, so just earmark those. Over here, this cannot be a 2, so that's going to be a 3. That's going to be a 2. That will be 3 here, making this 6, 3 here, 6, 9 here, and 9 up here, making this into a 9, which can't be. All right, let's try this all over again, because I have to go back far too far for this. In this case, I'm going to do a flood fill. That means everything that I can put in begin with gets flooded in. That becomes a 1, so not one of those two. That becomes a 1, so one of these two, one of these two. All right, 2s. That's going to be a 2. That'll be a 2. That'll be a 2. One of these two is a 2. One of these two. 3 is going to be a 2. One of these two is a 2. 3. One of these 3 will be a 3. One of these 2 will be a 3. I've got 3 possibilities here. Those two, and I've got 6 possible 3s here. One of these 3 is a 4. One of these 3 is a 4. 5 possible 4s here. And here. 6 actually in this one. And everything's eligible for being a 4 here from the moment. Over here, we end up with 6 possibilities again. And 3 possible 4s here. All right, how about 5s? I got a 5 here. One of these 3 will be a 5. One of these 4 will be a 5. I've got 2 possibilities for a 5 here, meaning this is going to be a 5. One of these 2 will be a 5. And here we've got several possibilities as well. 6s. One of these, one of this one is going to be a 6. I've got 2 possibilities for a 6 here. 2 possibilities for a 6 here. A 6 here. That means a 6 here. 7s. We've got 3 possibilities for a 7 there. 3 possibilities for a 7 here. 4 possibilities here. One of these 2 will be a 7. And down here, that's going to be a 7. And these 2 can't be a 3. Neither can this one, so that's going to be a 3. Over here, it looks like we've got 8s and 9s here, making that a 4, and these not. Also makes this not a 4. That's going to be a 9. Clean up some 4s here. That's going to be a 4. But I was at 7s. So one of these 2 is going to be a 7. I've got a 7, 5, 7, 5 here. So this is going to be an 8. Makes that a 9, that an 8. And up here, one of these 2 will be a 9. Those 3 for 7s. 7 down there. These 2 can't be a 7. Has not any. Oh, we've got these 2. Possibly this one is an 8. I can't have an 8 there. Well, these 2 is an 8. That leaves this one for the remaining digit, which is a 5. And that means neither of these are going to be a 5. It's going to be one of these 2 down here. Let's see. This is the only place I can drop a 7 in this one. Can't put a 3 here, so that's a 5. That's a 3. And not a 5, so that's a 5. 2, 3. One of these is going to be an 8. Maybe one of these 2. Also, one of these 2 is going to be an 8. 4, 5 pair here. Put that 5 there. Says this is going to be a 4. That's going to be a 5. So we can clean up some 4s. And we were down to this being a 1, so not a 1 there. That's going to be a 1. And 5, 7, 5, 7, 9, 5, 9. All right, we're missing some digits here. We've got an 8 going into one of these 2, a 9 going into one of these 5. Got a 9 over here. One of these 3 is going to be a 9. And one of these 3 is going to be a 9. 9 is going to be doing a lot of cleanup, isn't it? All right. So here we've got 6 3s as the only things there. So these 2 4s go away. This 4 says these 2 4s go away. So this and this cannot be a 4. 4, 8, 4, 8. One of those will be a 4, one will not. Fortunately, I've got a paired 4 with that. All right. 7, 8 pair here. 8 pair here. We're down to a 5 here, so not a 5 here. That's going to be a 9. Makes that a 7, that's a 9. So we clean up the 9s here. That leaves this as being a 5. So we've got a 3 and an 8 here. Clean up the 9 here. Those two are still valid. This is not a 9. 7, 8 pair. We've got too many digits here. These can't be a 3. That makes this into a 6. Not a 6. 9, 1 pair, but not a 1 here. So this is a 9. This is a 1. That makes this a 3 and this a 6. And let's see, not a 3 here, not a 9 here for 2 pair. And 4 2s here with 3s, but not a 3 here, so that's a 3. This is a 4, this is a 2. And that makes this into a 4, this becomes a 2. No, it doesn't yet. I've got 2 possibilities for a 2. However, this becomes not a 4, that's a 7. So this becomes a 9, a 2 here. So this becomes a 7, this becomes an 8. And we're in the final wraps here. That's an 8. This becomes a 4, this is 7. This becomes a 4. This becomes our 8. And we wrap it up with a 2 here. 22 minutes because I got down a false path to begin with. Like I said, just because it's in the easy category doesn't mean it's going to be a fast puzzle. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you had a good time. I hope that this was enlightening to you, or maybe you had this figured out right off the bat. I appreciate it. You're watching. I hope